on the March 2026 What's Neat.
We continue part 4 of layout construction, all the tips and tricks that it takes to work on a diorama these days.
The What's Neat show is sponsored by Lombard Hobbies, your value hobby shop for over 40 years of modelers helping modelers. Big inventory, value pricing, fast shipping, and great service.
And by Broadway Limited Imports, the cutting-edge leader in model trains. Check out their website at broadway-limited.com. And by Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmanntrains.com.
And thank you for helping us support the best hobby in the world.
This is What's Neat for March 2026. I'm your host, Ken Patterson. And this month we've got a great show in that we continue part 4 of layout construction, all the tips and tricks that it takes to work on a diorama these days using the modern construction methods of foam. We cover that, and this month we do control panels, electrical wiring, just all sorts of stuff to continue on with that project that we've been working on now for a few months. Also this month we've got an interview with the wonderful folks at Bachmann Industries in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They update us on some of the new products that are coming out here in the first quarter here, and it is the March 9th right now as I'm recording this. I want to share with you something that I pulled out of storage here to share some new cars with you. This is the original diorama that was used to create the Bachmann Easy Track ad 24 years ago. I pulled it out of the doghouse here, the storage under the back porch, and it's a classic diorama. It sold a lot of track. Everybody can remember the ad that ran with that. I've got some Broadway Limited passenger cars on this diorama today because I was shooting these outside yesterday and attempting a photo shoot this morning with a sunrise. These are gorgeous, and these are different than anything else I've shown you on the show. These are UP Business Car 101, the Lincoln. And the two cars that I've got here, the first one is the big boy with the tour drum head. HO scale, full lighting, amazing lighting, ditch lights, drum head lights, the lights on the rear platform, and interior lighting. Also, the other car that I've got is the same car, the Lincoln 101, business car UP. But this one's got the Building America drum head on it, which is, again, a really neat feature. Look at these beautiful cars at nighttime. I shot them in the dark inside. They've got just amazing lighting, amazing exterior detail, just lots of neat models have been coming from Broadway Limited Imports. It's just endless, the cool stuff that they have been making. So with that said, be sure to check out the What's Neat This Week video podcast that we shoot down here, well, almost every Saturday night. We've been skipping around a little bit, but we shoot still 3 to 4 shows a month, keeping you updated on what's new in this, the best hobby in the world, the hobby of model railroading. So with that, let's continue on with the rest of this March 2026 What's Neat. For this segment of What's Neat, we are going to do more layout construction today on this 11-foot 5-inch section across the window. In the last episode of What's Neat, I think I left you off where I was painting the railroad ties on this diorama to make it look that much better after we ballast it. But right now I've got a train running through the scene, and I will tell you that this track work that we built is working absolutely flawlessly. I love the smooth run that we have through this diorama. I wish my camera work was as smooth as the track work is, right? But just look at this. Now the track has all been painted. Right now I'm working in the area right there where I'm going to build an engine parking area. So yeah, rock and roll. This is really good track work. I'm very happy with it so far. So in this episode, what we're going to do, I'm going to get the blocks in as quickly as I can so that we have the ability to park a train and then kill the power to the locomotives. And I think I'm going to block the main lines through this diorama and the sidings into multiple sections. So I could park a train in the first third, the second third, or the third third and kill the power to those engines. I just like to do that. There's no particular reason, but it is a better way to have control. This area right here in front of the diorama, I'm starting to work on that with regards to getting the pavement over the cement work, over this locomotive parking area. And I'm building railroad tie retaining walls around the whole area. In fact, I've got a piece of wood right here I just stuck in, and I'm going to mount the ties to this piece of wood instead of gluing the ties individually in place. And then I'll sink the wood into the groove here, line it up level with the top of the rails, and then I'm going to take the patching cement material and I'm going to run it all the way across the top, even with the top of the rail heads. And of course I've built a, form all the way around, similar to what you do in the real world with cement. And so once all of this sets up, it's going to be just a dynamite area to park locomotives after I wet sand it down even with the rail heights. So right now what I want to do is finish up the locomotive area so the cement can set up, and I want to start right away with getting the blocks put into place, and I want to get the surface of the wood here put into place, and I also want to get some of the roads built, some of the service roads out of cement, and we're also going to ballast this whole scene. So we're going to do all of that in this episode of What's Neat, so hang on tight, and we're going to wrap this diorama up just about to the point of being finished, except for all the super detail work, which you never completely finish. You'll always add a detail here and a detail there. So let's continue on with this segment of What's Neat and see what happens next. Here I'm taking a straight edge and a very thin piece of plywood, and I'm laying scale Kapler railroad ties that are pre-stained onto this piece of plywood. The first railroad tie wall that I built around the base of the locomotive parking area, I actually built it tie by tie in place, and it took forever. So this was much faster to simply put down the Elmer's wood glue onto the plywood and then stagger the ties just like you would a brick wall. And this went really quick. Upon gluing the tie wall into place, I started globbing on the patching cement. Now this was the fine stuff that came in the container with the orange label on it. The company name is Silka, S-I-K-A, and they sell it at the Home Depot. This stuff was really smooth. It had very fine granules in it, so I was very satisfied with that. As I spread this over the locomotive area with a 5-inch taping knife, and upon wetting it really nice and wet, I did the final pull all the way across. Again, the knife is gliding on top of the rails and the wooden ties on each side. So when this sets up, it's going to look absolutely perfect after it's sanded. It's going to look really good. I also worked on the cement area of the road and the parking lot where you would park a vehicle. And again, I was wetting things down pretty good and using the trowel to pull this road up very smooth with the final draw, again to let this set up. And you really need to let this set up for about 24 hours. If I would do this again, I would have definitely taken some masking tape and masked off the railroad tie wall, because I did have to go back with sandpaper and a knife and clean up that mess on the wooden ties. So now all of that was done. Notice the piece of plywood where I notched it out with a saw, so I was able to curve it to the side of the diorama to act as the form for the road. That worked out really well. So now it's just time to let this all set up. It looks like a mess now, but I'm going to move on and continue all the roads. I want to get this all done before the sun rises. So working overnight from midnight until 6 in the morning solid on this project, the cement is starting to set up very nicely in this area where the engines are going to be parked in the parking lot for a couple pickup trucks right here. I have now built the forms to create the asphalt running along the edge of this diorama and the areas that I want to have covered with cement where you'll have access to the trackage for loading and unloading, whatever it may be. Then the access road continues. I'm using plywood on the side of the diorama. I've set the staple gun at such a low depth setting that I'll be able to retrieve the small staples I'm putting in this to hold it temporarily so that it creates the transition of the road going up and all the way smooth through the diorama. The main road running through the scene is higher than all the rest of the pavement. As you can see, it transitions down. All of the yellow pins I've drilled out with the Dremel, and I'm going to cut the tops off all of those pins now and get out my 4-inch trowel and start doing this area all at once and try to get this done before the sun comes up. I am using a new, I want to say it's new, it's not new. I'm using the DAP ready to use concrete patch mix. I actually picked this one up at True Value instead of Lowe's or the Home Depot. It seems like the DAP name is on all sorts of different brands of the same material when you open up the bucket. And I hope it's true for this. As you saw, I used a different type of material on the previous roads that you just saw me do earlier in the evening here. So let me get this done. I want to get all these roads laid so that if they set up overnight for about 8 hours or 10 hours, I can come through and fill any cracks that would appear from it drying and starting to crack out, because I'm using an awful lot of water on this to keep it moist when I did my spread with the trowel, which is okay. And when it comes time to finish this, we can wet sand it, which makes it very, very easy to work with this material, and it remains flexible. I've had sections of the layout, I know I've showed this clip somewhere, where I tore up a section of the layout that was better than 10 years old, and the material was flexible as I was tearing it up. It just bent like shoe leather. So it doesn't get brittle, it doesn't crack on the layout, which is what I really like about it. So now I'm gonna dive into it. I could show you a couple clips of B-roll as I do it, and let's see how this thing turns out in the morning if I gotta backfill and do cracks. Working my way towards what will be like a loading area where the cement is actually going to go over the top of the tracks. This is the service road that goes from the road that crosses the tracks, and it kind of goes down. It goes downhill following the grade of the trackage. So again, I'm using the knife to pull this one, and then we're going to start working on the truck loading area. The cement is a little bit different than the stuff I'm used to working with. It's got little bitty fibers in it, almost like static grass, so to speak. And the purpose of the fibers, according to the packaging, is to make it so it doesn't crack, which makes sense, right? But I wonder if that'll affect it when it shrinks, whether the cement will crack or not. I can't wait to find that out after this work session is over. I get to see what it looks like in about 8 hours or so. This is a mess, but not really. It's controlled. It's a controlled mess. And it's easily cleaned up off of the track, like right here, where I don't want it. So I'll take a brush and I'll brush that out and repaint. Clean it all up. Just clean it up. It's an effective way to make beautiful roads, or asphalt in this case. Now I'm going to draw this out with a great big drywall knife, probably an 8-inch. works just like the old material I've worked with. It's workable, it's working good. I'm riding right on top of the rails, so I can go back and clean those. Make a smooth area to drive a semi-truck or a maintenance welding vehicle or a fuel truck, whatever might use this surface. I don't need to get a long knife. I can do it with this small knife. I'm using a 4-inch. And I'm going to go and switch over to a 5-inch right now. Get some water. Knife wet. That's beautiful. That is so nice. That's what we want. Very happy with that. Very, very good. I'm going to draw from the outside rail here. So if there's any transitions, which there shouldn't be, it'll be from the rail outward. And then you can wet sand this when it sets up and dries. So it's very easy to work with. Very forgiving material. I love this. This is so much better than using plaster. In the old days, we'd use plaster of Paris to make our mountains and our roads. Some people probably still do that today. It works. But I like how this works. I'm going back to my 4-inch knife. I like this. Every pass, it just gets better, smoother, and I keep moving a lot of material, which is good because we need it over here. So I'm going to do a couple of more passes with my 5-inch knife made wet, making the material wet. And let this sit up overnight and see what, or during the day now, because the sun is in fact up. Very cloudy and cold. But as when you're watching this, spring should just be around the corner. All right, so that's where I'm going to leave this for now. I'm going to continue on. I've only got about 4 feet of 2 inches of an area to do, and then let this all set up overnight and see how it looks. Clean the tools. Just finished up cleaning out the trowels, and this is what the work looks like right now with all the forms still in place. I'll peel out all the wooden forms. The roads themselves are very smooth. I can't wait to see how this material is going to dry, whether it'll shrink, crack. If it doesn't, it'll be awesome. If it does, we know how to fix it. I've showed you that so many times before in videos, and we'll do it here. I will then coat this material with a couple of coats of India ink to give it that blacktop looking asphalt look, sun bleached asphalt. So far so good. Let's see what happens. I'm going down for, I don't know why we humans have to sleep, but I'm gonna sleep now and see what happens when this material starts to set up and get dry. I'm doing the final sanding on this area where I want to make a locomotive parking area. And I started using sandpaper on this dry. I used some 60 grit paper. And it did nothing but make dust, and the sandpaper really didn't attack the surface of this cement. So what I literally did was I started using water and some sandpaper, and I wet sanded it. And I have found now, as you just saw me doing, that you could literally sand this with your finger, which is crazy. But when the material's hard and you sand it dry, you can hardly cut through it. But when it's wet, you're able to take it down ever so much. And that's what I've done. I've taken it down to the rail heights, as you can see right here. So what I'm going to do next is take a hacksaw blade, and I'm going to run it through and cut out the flangeways for the wheels. Now, hold on for the camera work here. I'm going to do a quick edit. And now let's come back, because I want to talk to you about this cement, because it's dried now for the last 24 hours since I applied it. The cement that I put here is very smooth, and there aren't any cracks in it, which I'm very impressed with. Usually, if you've seen me in the road videos I've made, the material cracks as it dries, and then we come back and do a second coat. So I want to talk about this material now, which is different than the area where the locomotive facility is, because I used a different brand. And this is the stuff that we put down, and if you look, it behaves similarly to the original material that I have been using since 2015 to make roads from DAP. It gets its cracks in it as it dries, and then I'll come back and refill those cracks. But something else I've noticed about this material, which is different than normal, is that it actually shrank a little bit in the railroad crossing area. I ran it through level with a trowel, but as the material dried, it looks like it's settled. I wouldn't call it a bowl, but there's definitely a depression there. The same all the way around. So what I did was I took some sandpaper and a chisel, a very sharp chisel, and I got all the cement off of the top of the plywood forms that I've got in place still. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through, just like we've done in the past videos, and I'm going to patch the cracks, the shrink cracks. Here's one right here, for example, which is completely normal. We do that. I want to talk about the material that I'm using because I think it's important. If you refer back to the original videos that I've made on making roads, I want to say that was 2015, 16, somewhere in that range of What's Neat videos. I always used a concrete patch mix from DAP. Came with gray lettering, gray packaging, white container, just gray markings on it. Well, this is different. This says it's fiber reinforced. I picked this up at True Value. It said DAP, so I figured it was the same stuff. And that's the material that I used on these roads right here in this area here. Now the material that I used when I started this project over where the locomotive facility is going to be, and that parking area, that material's much smoother and it hasn't shrank. And that is this stuff here, and I picked this up at the Home Depot. It works, and it's smoother, it's whiter in color, and there's less granules in it. It's not as sandy. It seems like it's much smoother material. So I'm gonna go back to the Home Depot and grab one of these containers, a small one here, to do the final patching on all of this for the cracks and to fill in any of the depressions that I mentioned, because I want it to be, if anything, you want to create a nice curve in the road, a crown they call it, so rainfall runs off. I'm not particularly concerned about that on this project, but yeah, rock and roll. So let me continue on wet sanding this a little bit more until I see the absolute rail tops, and then I'll be able to cut the flangeways. And this area will be pretty much finished except for scenery and guardrails and a set of steps. We need a set of steps. This is where we get into the super detailing of things, and this is where the projects really slow down. One last thing I want to say about this area. The Great Stuff Foam Pro makes great filler. In the old days, you'd go through that and put something in there to fill it. This stuff works to backfill this retaining wall after I built it. And this area here came out really decent. So let's continue on now as I go to the hardware store, grab some more patch mix, come back and start patching the cracks. And I really want to get blocks in this thing today. I want control of the track. I'm trying an experiment next to the area where I want to park locomotives. And this is something I've never tried before, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work. And that is, instead of using a sheet of plexiglass in here to build a sidewalk, I am going to attempt, I've got a form here made of very small scale lumber. Actually, it looks like it could be just lumber stock. And I'm going to put this patching cement material in that form. Let's see. I believe this is going to make a sidewalk. I'll scratch in some expansion joints. And I just believe this is going to work. So nothing magic to the process. I'm going to be using water and small trowels on this. So let me continue this without the camera here and see what happens next. Now with all the cement completely set up, I started pulling off the wood that I had stapled to the side of it to act as a form. And of course, this is what we're going to follow when we carve the final plywood that's going to go over this. So it's going to look really good. Now, in order to pull up the forms, the little pieces of wood that were pinned in place, I always use a knife, a very sharp, clean hobby knife, to separate the wood form from the cement. If you don't cut it with a knife, what happens is when you tear the wood off, sometimes the cement underneath, like say 1/8 of an inch underneath or even less, will tear. And even the top will tear, and you can pull it away and completely ruin the effect of when we come back with gravel to make a shoulder. So I use the knife first to score and separate the wood from the cement, and then I'm able to pull up the entire piece of wood clean. All the pins, a lot of the pins actually stay stuck in the foam since we cut off the heads, so you've got to go back with wire cutters and pull up those little pieces of metal. But otherwise, it works out really good this way. While our sidewalk is setting up right here, I am cleaning up all of the residual mess, crumbs from the cement after I've removed our wooden forms. And I'm simply using a hobby knife I'm just going along very slowly, almost like cleaning teeth. I'm just trying to make everything, just cleaning up the extra lumps. I just don't want them there. Now this whole area will eventually be ballasted, and I imagine around the outside of the engine house area towards these first two tracks there'll be a lot of ballast. It'll be up to the rails, and there'll be a shoulder on this road too, so it's all going to fill back in with material and look pretty decent. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm pulling out all of these forms with the pins in them, and throwing them in the trash and cleaning up with a knife, and I'm going to vacuum this whole area. And I think once I get that done, I know the outdoor contours, the outside contours of this. I really want to get the fascia and I keep saying the control panels in, because that's the next obvious step, and it's going to make all of this so much better. So let me get this all cleaned up. And here we come, 3 o'clock in the morning again. And this is looking dynamite. It's all setting up really nice. I chose to take the forms off now because, as you saw, I easily cut them with the knife, and the material's still just a little bit soft, even though it's firm, and I can drive vehicles on it right now and sand it. So I'm gonna let this sit for another probably 8 hours, and then take it and wet sand it down smooth and get the rails and everything to be exposed on the cement platform area for loading and unloading stuff with a forklift. So let's see what happens next. Turning my attention to the back side of the layout, I needed to take down about 3 scale feet of terrain to give me a nice shoulder and an area to build a service access road on the back side between the blinds. So to do this, I used the chainsaw again, and I very carefully, using the tip of the saw at a very slow speed, chunked out all of the foam in this area. I then followed up with the Stanley Shoreform planer, smoothing things out best I could until the topography looked just about right for the road. Using the hacksaw blade that I showed earlier in the video, I am clearing the flangeways of all the cement, or the patching cement mix, and this is the best way to do it. I was also running a train while I was doing this, very careful not to hit the train while I was shooting this video clip, but this hacksaw blade is the best thing in the world for clearing out the cement right next to the rail without cutting the spikes. It just works. Now that the roads have pretty much cured, I wanted to give them a darker shade, kind of like asphalt. So I took my mixture of India ink that you have been seeing me use on What's Neat videos for better than 20 years now, and I gave a nice shade of dark. I used about a 2-inch paintbrush, and I liberally applied the India ink to all of the patching cement mix, and as you can see, it really looks good. I did the area where the loading and offloading area would be the same manner, just liberally applying the India ink to the surface of the cement, letting it soak in, and then letting it dry for about 5 hours. So I wanted to start to make the control panel. And that's the panel that's going to hold all of my block switches, which will turn off the power in each one of the stub tracks and or the passing sidings. I like to do that so that when I'm testing something on one specific track, which I would say is my programming track, nothing else on this module has any chance whatsoever of course, receiving a signal and then getting programmed. So I'm right now drawing on a piece of plexiglass, and I'm using a straight edge. The circles are where I'm figuring I'm going to put the block switches. So this is a long piece of plexiglass. You can see that's almost 14 inches long. And what you've got to do is you've got to draw this so that it matches the track pattern on your diorama. So I made an experimental drawing on the piece of paper here. And then I'm using a Sharpie. And I'm drawing on the protective coating that's on the plexiglass. And you'll see why on this next step. Because I'm going to take this and I'm going to start cutting it on my scroll saw to cut out the circles that I've drawn. Now I'm using a blade that's a spiral blade, so I don't have to point the teeth in any one direction on this saw. It allows me to do a complete circle without having to turn the workpiece. That's really important on plexiglass like this. I'm also using the saw at a relatively low speed as not to melt the plexiglass and have the blade get, too warm. I don't want that. But after you finish your circle, the centerpiece will just pop right out. That's when it's good to test fit the block switch so that we can file it if we need to make sure I've got a perfect fit that doesn't mess up the threads on the switch itself. And so far this looks absolutely perfect. Here you see me using the light table that I use for viewing my slides. And what I've done here is I've peeled off that white protective coating off of one side of the plexiglass. And I'm putting down fine line trim tape, the type of tape that you would use in the automotive industry. And this is just the right width that's giving me my track pattern. But I've got to apply this tape absolutely backwards, because when we paint this, we're going to paint on the back side so that the front side of the plexiglass will reflect the paint itself. So that's why I'm using the light table, so I can see through the plexiglass lines that I've drawn on the other side of the plexiglass. You saw me draw these lines. That is now laying on this table. The light, I can see through it. Therefore, I know exactly where to put each piece of tape. Cutting it with a razor knife, super clean. This tape's got to be down firm. You've got to use your finger and just really just burnish it down tight so there's no bleed lines when we start to paint this. Because the next step, and this is really cool, I love this part. Here you see me over the trash can in the shop, and I'm going to use one of my favorite colors, this blue color. That's going to be the overall color of the control panel. And I'm simply going to spray the blue paint over the top of all the tape that we just put down representing the track, and then evenly coat the plexiglass and let this dry. After this dries, I then pull the tape off of the plexiglass that's blue. And as you see it come off, you can see through the plexiglass to the white protective coating on the other side. And here's how this works. I'll take the gold spray paint, which is going to represent the track pattern. So my track's going to be gold, the panel's going to be blue. And after this gold paint dries, I then peel off the protective coating on the other side. And that reveals this beautiful, I just love this part. This control panel is literally right before your eyes, ready to have all of the block switches now put into place. So once I get the rocker switches into our plexiglass control panel, it's truly a thing of beauty. And it's really going to accentuate the side of the layout in the layout room. Now, I've made these same control panels. You've seen me do this in the past, but I want to give you an expose of all of them that I've done in the past. Here you see a control panel for my yard, which is right in front of us right here. And this panel I probably made 15 years ago. And I used smaller switches on it because there were so many more tracks to put onto a small piece of plexiglass, same size as what we just made. And it's worked really well. I did this one in black with gold, and this one is velcroed into place, so I can easily get to all the wires on the back side of it. It's worked really well. It's flawless. The only problem with a design like this is as you change the design of your layout, it's really hard to go back and make changes to this. So eventually at some point, as I get ready to relay this entire yard, I'm going to make a new panel for this. Here's another panel that I made that I'm not going to use. I made it in a lighter shade of blue. I used this Rust-Oleum custom paint, which is actually made to put over a chrome surface. I was hoping it would be a little translucent so I could light this one, and that didn't work out so well. And I don't like the lighter shade of blue. The one that we've just made for our control panel here, I painted this one with the Duplicolor Metal Specs specialty coating. This is ocean blue. It's a very beautiful color on the back of plexiglass with the gold. And I got all of these types of paints I go to AutoZone to pick up the paints like that. So I wanted to give you a quick expose now. Now we've got to get this mounted into the side of the layout, and in fact start working on the top of the layout. We need to get all the ballast in place. So now I want to drop the control panel into place on the module, but I need to get all the block wires in and all the blocks in and the electronics, and I want to get the surface, the plywood surface on the module, and get ballast on top of this. So we're going to get this now into the shop. Now, as you'll recall, I built the roads on this. I have not cut them apart yet, so I'm going to take a saw and simply cut this road with a fine saw. Also, the track has never been cut until now, and I divided this module up right there on a turnout. So here's what I've created. I took 2 pieces of plywood, I put magnets, 4 magnets into the plywood, and created a section that'll simply pull out, just like that. I still need to go through and cut the bottom piece of wood right through here so that the modules will be able to be separated. And then, when it's time to put the module back into place, I simply drop in the wooden section, which I will have the track glued on top of. It's not glued yet, it's just kind of sitting there. It might be tacked on a little bit by the glue that I used to glue this into the bottom, which is the polyurethane Gorilla Glue. But as you see, the rails line right up every time I just drop it in place. So I don't need rail joiners. But what I will have to do is, if I do it this way, is I'm going to have to create the electricity going up into these 4 rails, because they're dead right now. So what I may do is cut this out a little further and put in brass, flat brass stock. And I'll do the same thing underneath this piece. So when the 2 pieces go together, they will have electricity, because I'll solder wires from the brass stock to each rail and give myself power in this section when it's dropped into place. I've done this before in a previous What's Neat video when I created a lift out section that was a curve, and this piece, the entire piece, fit into place with magnets and no rail joiners. So that's my theory on this. Let me drop this into place one more time. And it does line up. I'm probably going to put rail joiners on this and just get this done in a hurry to get this module back into place and work on the electrical ideas further down the road. This is something you can build off of. The only problem I see with this concept is, if you'll remember the old days of Katy couplers, which we still use today, they had a magnet that went between the tracks. And these are those super strong magnets that I've used here. I've got a string of cars here. And as I pull them through, nothing's being affected, but I do know this, watch. Just like in the old days of the Katy magnets, the couplers will come apart because of those magnets. So really, the idea may not be a good one, but I wanted to share it with you. If nothing else, I've got a really nice lift-out section made of plywood that is completely perfectly laid in place with the rail heights match perfectly throughout. So I might just dig out the magnets and forget about that idea. But let's get this module now into the shop and let's finish it. I want to see train running in the next day on this module finished. And so the next day comes next month, when the whole diorama absolutely comes together where we put on the wooden beautiful sides. We finish all of the top with ballast and dirt and weathering, which this diorama turns out to be one of the most beautiful and functional dioramas that I've built. And so with that, that ends this segment of What's Neat as we continue on with the Bachmann interview with the wonderful folks from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For this segment of What's Neat, I've got Matt Stern and Tyler Haney from Bachmann Industries in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on the big screen today. You guys had a wonderful snowstorm, so rock and roll. We're going to talk about a lot of the new product announcements that you guys have got coming. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Yeah, we just last month we unveiled our 2026 catalog announcements, which is typically one of two announcement ranges that we have per year. So yeah, we'll do a little bit of a quick run through of some of what you can expect from us from our 2026 catalog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great to be back on the show. We'll also be showing off a few things that we announced last summer at the National Train Show, and we wanted to show them off today because they're part of us celebrating the 250th anniversary of the USA.
Yes. Yes. How exciting is that?
It's very exciting. You got the big boy coming east to our neck of the woods for the first time, so that's going to be cool to see.
Yes.
And we have on the cover of our catalog, as well as over Matt's shoulder, we have the packaging for our highlight, and that's the 50th anniversary of the American Freedom Train, which of course ran back in 1975 and 1976. And we're celebrating that with a limited edition, ready-to-run starter set, and some add-on cars that will allow you to recreate the concepts of that special train. So you, of course, have to have the GS4 4449. The version that will come in the Freedom Train set is a DC version with a working smoke unit, and we'll also have it available in separate sale with a 21-pin plug, DCC ready. So, been always a very popular paint scheme. Updated a couple of the details, road number fonts, put some new builder's plates on there to make it more detailed and accurate as ever in terms of the paint scheme. But what's really exciting about the Freedom Train is that we have some new tooling here for some cars that are going to be exclusive to this set. We're going to have 3 cars in the set that are only going to be available in this limited edition set. It's limited to 1,000 pieces, and we are not planning to make these cars separately or ever again. So you have to have the iconic American Freedom Train showcase cars. So you can see here, these cars were heavily modified from retired New York Central baggage cars, and they featured some of the largest exhibits and artifacts that were part of the Freedom Train. So here in car number 41, you can see here we've got a map of the United States in the center, and this was lit up with lights showing the route of the Freedom Train both in 75 and 76 around the whole lower 48 United States. You have a moon buggy from one of the Apollo missions, a prototype for that. And we have the Freedom Bell, which was a twice-sized replica of the Liberty Bell as it was originally built. That still exists today. It's actually outside of Union Station in Washington, D.C.
Neat.
So, if you look closely, you will see that these are 2D illustrations that we put inside the car. But with the clear background that we put them on, it creates a very convincing illusion that these cars actually have the loads in them. And these cars are also fully illuminated in the interior, so they'll be lit up as the train goes around the track. You can stop the train and put it on display with the lights shining down like the original Freedom Train had back in 75 and 76.
Very nice.
Yeah. And here is the second of those exclusive showcase cars. You have a replica of one of the Baltimore and Ohio's early steam locomotives here on my right. That's the Arabian. You have a early horse-drawn fire engine, the Friendship number 101, I believe, from the George Washington Fire Company in Alexandria, Virginia. And you have a 1904 Oldsmobile Scout automobile there. And to round it all off, you have the very last car in the Freedom Train consist, and that was car number 205, the observation car, or the press car as it was nicknamed, which had space for VIPs and for the many reporters who were locally covering the Freedom Train as it visited cities around the U.S. So that's your consist for the Freedom Train starter set, limited to 1,000 pieces. It comes with an individually numbered collector's card, so you know which number set you have, as well as a speed controller and easy track.
Let me show the box here for a second, since we have the box sample. So we got the this is the full box here. Now you're gonna get the reflection when you look at the screen.
Okay.
Of course, it's got the shrink wrap on it. So you can see the whole train set in there. You can see you've got the speed controller. It comes with a really nice wide 81 by 45 inch oval of our easy track system, which is easily, as the name would suggest, expandable, and you can get the whole thing up and running in about 15 minutes. It's going to be a really nice set, but if you're also an existing model railroader, again, it's going to be a fantastic train just to have for your layout, because this is the first time that the Freedom Train has been offered in HO scale since the 1970s. So it's
that is so cool.
It's a must-have for anyone who's wanting to get in on the patriotism for this next year.
And then here are the add-on cars that I mentioned previously. So in addition to those showcase cars, which had the larger objects that visitors to the Freedom Train could see from the outside, the main feature of the Freedom Train was the exhibit cars, which were also converted baggage cars that visitors would be able to walk through on a moving walkway, and inside was where they had more smaller objects. They had things like an original written copy of the Declaration of Independence, just all sorts of artifacts from throughout the first 200 years of American history. So there were 10 cars in that consist that were exhibit cars as part of the main exhibit.
Right.
And we are offering them as add-on cars, again with new tooling. In this initial release, we're doing the first 4 cars in the train. And here's what they look like. So as you can see, even though there were exhibits on the inside, the outside also featured some special displays and graphics for those who were just watching the train pass by or walking around it from the outside. So each car represents 2 decades of American history. So car number 101 had exhibits for 1776 through 1786 and 1786 through 1796. So you can see here on one side of the car they had these artwork panels essentially, and you've got an illustration of George Washington and one of Thomas Jefferson. And then as I turn it around here, on the opposite side, they had these shadow boxes that had some more objects in it. So you got some portraits of the founding fathers. You have a Revolutionary War soldier's uniform. Just like the showcase cars, these are illuminated cars, so you'll have the shadow boxes being lit from above and the artwork panels being lit from the back, just like on the prototype. And I want to give a special recognition. We were able to get these almost, pretty much exact replicas of the artwork that was on the train, thanks to a gentleman named Todd Shanoff. He runs the website freedomtrain.org for the past, I believe since 2009 or the late 90s. He's been running his website, which covers the complete history of the American Freedom Train, as well as the original Freedom Train from the 1940s. He has the complete history of the route that the Freedom Train took, photos from all the different stops, the itinerary, photos of each piece of equipment in the train. And he also, as part of his research, he recreated all of these pieces of artwork from scratch. And he's collaborated with other model manufacturers previously in O-Gauge. And this is the first time he's allowed his artwork to be used for an HL model. So it wouldn't be possible to get this artwork and have it as accurate as possible without Todd's help. So it's been great to work with him. Show off another one of the cars here, car number 102. So this is representing 1796 to 1806 and 1806 through 1816.
Boy, Tyler, you know this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was an American history major in college, so this is
okay.
you know, and so between American history and just the history of trains, this has been a great project to work on, and we think it's going to be very popular as part of the America 250 celebrations.
Nice.
And of course, we are also supplementing this with a number of other models that we've announced previously that are also bicentennial, like the Milwaukee Road ST40 and our SEPTA, Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority, PCC, in their bicentennial red, white, and blue scheme as well. All of these can be found in the Bachmann catalog at in a special section at the beginning called Celebrating America.
Okay.
But in addition to that, we do have a number of new paint schemes and new announcements in the actual catalog for 2026. Like Tyler said, the Freedom Train was initially announced in our NMRA announcements midway through last year. So Tyler, you want to should we talk about some of those?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we got a new train set edition, which is the Grand Canyon Railway. This is one that we've received a lot of positive feedback for. I think it's one that's really been missing from the HO scale world, because the Grand Canyon Railway is one of the most popular and well-known tourist railroads operating in America today.
Okay.
Now, I don't have a sample of the train to show. Ken, hopefully you'll throw up a photo of the page from the catalog so there can be some reference for it. But what I do have is a separate car that we're adding along with the train set that you can buy on its own to expand the train. That's the Fred Harvey HO scale dome car here.
Mm-hmm.
Part of their consist, part of their highest class of service, where you get comfier chairs, and I think they have some complimentary food on board and stuff like that. So,
man, I gotta tell you, last month on What's Neat, I showed off those Holland America Cruise dome cars. Those things are fabulous, and that's all new die work. I just want to say hats off to you on that, because they match. I saw the YouTube videos, right, of the prototype next to the cruise ship, where they just literally park the boat, pull the train up. I mean, it's a perfect setup. So yeah, rock and roll on that model, guys. You did good.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Grand Canyon Railway is very much in that same vein of it's not necessarily a railroad for rail fans, but a railroad that transports you to see something incredible.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the one thing the Grand Canyon Railway has, it does make it more of an attraction for rail fans, as it does have steam power that supplements its diesel operations. So we're representing their steam locomotive number 29, which real life locomotive is coming back to service this year after some overhauling. So it's kind of a nice fortuitous time for us to have the model out as well.
Very cool, man. Hey, yesterday you were showing me some Amtrak M coaches, and you were talking about this is what they're going to put on all this new car. Will you talk about that?
Yeah. So behind me here I have some of our Amfleet models, which have the new Amtrak Phase 7 paint scheme on them.
Phase 7. Okay. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So what they've done with Phase 7 that's a little different to previous schemes is they've actually designated each class of service with color.
Okay.
So you'll see this one has green on the ends here. That's for coach. Then on this one here, this is business class, which has light blue on the ends.
This is nice.
And then for cars that don't necessarily have a class of service, like a cafe car, they'd have just the classic Amtrak blue on the ends there to represent just a non-classed car.
Okay, now these are Amfleet cars. These are the older cars. You're saying they're rebuilding those, huh?
As they go through routine maintenance and upgrades, they're painting the cars. Our models, of course, we have been available in the previous Amtrak Phase 6 scheme, and they also, just like the Bud Full Dome and the Colorado Railcar Ultra Domes that you mentioned, have full interiors, and these actually also have red working marker lights in the end as well.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, 1977, 1979, somewhere in that range, you made those Amfleet cars. And that lit, as a child and seeing the prototype behind my house all the time, that was by far my favorite model during those years. That was amazing. Good job for making those for us. But you
they've continued to be a well-received model throughout the years, and of course we've made a number of upgrades over the years as well to keep the models current in terms of their level of detail and their functionality.
Right. Rock and roll. Good
and
job.
We also have these at N scale as well. Phase 7, these will also be coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
These were in our NMRA announcements at the end of last year, or at the middle of last year. So this is the cafe car here. This is is this a cafe business class car, or we have that? No, that's the next one. So we're actually doing a cafe business class car on N scale, which we aren't doing in the first run for HO, but I'm sure it'll be something that we'll look into doing at some point. And you'll see it has the standard Amtrak glow on one side, and then the light blue to designate business class on the other side. And we're doing 2 road numbers for coach as well. And right now, these are running mixed in with Amtrak Phase 6 cars. So if you have Phase 6 cars in your collection already, you can buy a couple of these, expand your train, and you'll have a nice, realistic mixed paint scheme train.
I can't wait to see those out on the roads. I mean, those are on the roads now. I just don't get out very much. Okay, I want to do a drum roll on this one because I know what you're about to talk about, to me, is amazing. I'm going with what you're talking about the pre-weathered. Show us that. The cars that come already looking like they're used on my layout.
Yeah, so a little bit of background on that. So we're introducing a new series of cars on HO scale called the Workhorse Series.
Okay.
And these cars are going to come factory weathered, patched, and detailed based on specific road number prototypes to look exactly like they look in photographic references after numerous years out on the rails, and potentially over the course of a career that may have involved various operators and road number changes and getting all sorts of dents and dirt and all that stuff. So we have one car from the series to show for a sample right now, and that is our Burlington Northern Bethlehem steel hopper here.
Yeah, baby. Okay, show me. It's different on both sides, right? Show me the other side.
Different on both sides. Yeah. So this is all the scratches and all the rust and the patchwork and the way the conspicuity striping is placed on the car is all based exactly on the prototype for this exact car. So each side is different based on photos from both sides of the cars. And we're using a blend of different application processes to make sure this is accurate. It's not not like a photo etch or anything like that. It is all done through our very talented graphic design and art team.
Yes.
And then our factory team as well, of course. But as you can see, the results are really nice. And it'll be a nice selection of cars to add to your roster. This is one of 2 Bethlehem steel hoppers that we'll be offering. We're also offering one in Santa Fe colors, which we'll have a sample for hopefully in the near future. We'll definitely be sending you 1 or 2 for photography, Ken, at some point.
Oh, cool. I'll make you proud. I mean, this is neat stuff right here.
Yeah, and then we're also going to be doing 2 40-foot box cars and then 2 bay window cabooses as well. So watch out for those coming in the near future.
Okay.
Yeah, Tyler, anything you want to add about these?
Yeah, no, it's just a very exciting project, especially like you said, these are based on photographic references, but we recreate everything from scratch. As opposed to just putting a decal of a photo of the side of the car. Our artwork team did a great job of putting that together.
Right.
For the freeway hoppers in particular, those have been on our line for quite a while now, and starting with this release, and we'll be making these upgrades on the unweathered version as well. We're doing some upgrades to the 100-ton freeway hopper. Previously, they came with the braces and the slope sheets and the weights packaged separately, and the customer would have to install those. Those will now come factory installed, so they will be completely ready to run out of the box. And we're also upgrading them to have the correct 100-ton trucks and 36-inch wheels, so this car will be more accurate than ever on top of having those great weather effects.
And this, of course, all these upgrades go to, they're a running change moving forward for our standard paint schemes that we offer as well, not just the weathered ones. Now, of course, that's going to be over time, so you know, anything that's available now won't have those upgrades, but they will as the production moves forward.
It's all about raising the bar.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
So where do we go from here, Tyler?
I have a couple more rolling stock pieces that will show up. And speaking of raising the bar, one of our more recent releases in freight cars that was completely newly tooled was the Trinity 5161 three-bay covered hopper. Very popular covered hopper for grains, and especially since the mid-1990s. And those have been a big hit for us, and we introduced a new road name in the 2026 catalog. We've got the Union Pacific with the CMO reporting marks. So I'll bring it in close here so you can see some of the detail. You've got all that brake system detail, the brake lines and the cylinders. You've got a see-through roof walk separately applied up here. You've got a detailed underbody, those 100-ton trucks that I mentioned before. 2 road numbers available for these cars, so you can build out your unit trains of grain cars. We've got, in addition to Union Pacific, we have the CSX, BNSF, Norfolk Southern, and Canadian Pacific available on the market right now. And it's been a great for us to be able to expand our line, where a lot of our freight cars, we had the 19th century cars, we had our steam era up to the 1970s. Now we're getting into some more modern freight cars, which we started a few years ago for our coil cars. Now we have the Trinity hopper to continue along with that line.
Good job.
And along with that, we're also introducing a couple of new paint schemes for our air slide hopper that we announced and introduced at the same time as the Trinities. So our air slide 4180 hoppers will be getting a Rio Grande scheme, again with two road numbers to choose from. It's their very vibrant bright orange scheme, which again, Ken, hopefully you can throw the picture of that up on the video as we're
Absolutely.
going through this.
All of this is in your new catalog that you guys are passing out recently, and it's also on your website. And that's a new website. I've been showing that off at the opening up to the show. You guys have got graphics that move and everything. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. We'll have to change the background video at some point. Maybe put the Freedom Train in there.
Yeah.
Rock and roll. Hey, I know people.
Yeah, that catalog is up now to read online at BachmannTrains.com. We also just got in the shipment of the print copies, so those will be available to order from us or pick up at your local hobby shop.
Very cool, Tyler.
Yeah, and I think we'll kind of bookend things here with some more patriotic reveals. This was another announcement from our mid-year announcements last year, and we just got the first pre-production samples from the factory back in January. So back in the late 1960s into the 70s and 80s, a number of railroads wanted to bring attention to the U.S. savings bond program, and they put special paint schemes on various freight cars and locomotives, and we found that there were several paint schemes that would fit onto our 50-foot sliding door box cars. So we were introducing that to the line with some savings bond paint schemes. So here's the car here.
Okay.
As you can see, it has a traditional sliding door with a fully detailed interior here. This is the Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac, which is a road name that hasn't had a lot of representation on our line in the past, so it's something a little bit different for us. You can see here it's got some very unique blue-colored trucks and the silver door.
That looks
And then
good.
you can see here the where they applied the special Sharing Freedom by U.S. Savings Bonds graphic there. So we want to give it another shout out. This one to the RFMP Historical Society, which provided us with a great reference photo of the car. One of the features of this 50-foot box car is that it is available both with the roof walk, as these cars would have been built in the late 1940s into the 1950s. And we also have an option without the roof walk.
Okay.
as the roof walks would have been removed as they were outlawed into the 1970s. So the RFMP car comes with a roof walk, and these other route names come without it. Here you can see the L&N, Louisville and Nashville car. They took a very similar approach to the RFMP with the same Liberty Torch graphic.
Yes.
Just a coincidence, but makes for a nice looking car. Blue trucks on this one, plus the yellow L&N lettering. I think it's pretty sharp looking. Got a local favorite here, and that's the Reading. They went with this eagle graphic instead on the door, along with the big Share and Freedom lettering across the whole side of the car. And we have a Conrail version. This was a bit of a challenging one to do, but very rewarding with how it came out. So you can see here, you've got all these little red, white, and blue stars coming out of the Conrail logo here, going onto the door. And we found in our research that those star graphics are different on either side of the car. So we had I had to look for some decent photographs that were showing both sides of the car and place every one of those little stars.
Oh, wow, good job. No, that's, I know, I felt that, but it's perfect, because how many people are going to go to the extra effort like that?
But it's all about, creating the most accurate model possible, because we know our, modelers are, very noticeable, very observant of those kinds of details, and we want to make sure that we show them that, we see those details, and we're making sure to incorporate them into the car.
Good job, Tyler.
Thank you. And saving the, in my opinion, the best for the last, my personal favorite, we've got the Northern Pacific Share and Freedom box car with the that big white stripe going across on the diagonal on the red and blue car. Got one end in red, the other end in blue.
Okay.
Just such a cool, special paint scheme. Not something that you would expect out of the Northern Pacific, where they would normally have their brown or green box cars. And there were several of these cars in different road numbers, and so that's a personal favorite of mine of some of the stuff we've announced, and fits right in with the Freedom Train and all the other patriotic offerings that we've got going on for 2026.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big summer, isn't it? It's gonna be a big thing.
It really is.
And of course, we do have many, many more new paint scheme announcements and cars coming in various scales. Everything we've shown so far is just HO scale, but we have some we have new locomotive paint schemes coming in N scale. We have some new large scale cattle cars, stock cars. We have actually something worth mentioning is we have some new scenery items that we're adding to the line.
Okay.
So we're expanding our scenescapes line a little bit. I only have a couple of samples here to show, but again, Ken, this is something you can put up on the screen to go along. We're doing a line of scenery layout enhancing pieces. So one of those is a selection of rocks. So these will come in packs of I believe it's 4 rocks for these ones and 8 for the small ones, which are these ones here. Okay. All different sizes, all pre-cast and weathered and painted, ready to go right on your layout. Mm-hmm. Also in that line, we're doing some HO scale tunnel portals. These are based on loosely based on the prototypes that you'd see on Tehachapi, but very similar to the cast concrete design that you see from early 20th century tunnels from across the country. So we're doing a single track portal, a double track portal. These will have modular sides, so the sides, the supports on the sides will fit onto it, but don't come attached. So you can attach them at the angle that you want them at, or you can leave them off.
Okay.
We're also introducing a line of layout construction materials, including plaster cloth, some resin water, and some water detail effects, and we're actually also offering a model glue to help glue down all your scenescapes elements as well. So
wow, okay. We're
really trying to create a line that you can use to build your layout up from, all you need is the bench work, and we've got something for you for everything beyond that point.
I'll tell you what, that Scenescapes line, when that first came out, I saw the branding and the color scheme on the boxes and everything that was into producing a line like that, literally a brand. My favorite thing in that line that I have found so much uses for was those wire armature trees that already come pre-made. They're like bushes. In N scale, they're literally like trees because the tallest one's about 3 inches, the shortest one's about an inch or so. But I've used thousands of those on my previous layout, and they look fantastic. So I had
those
to
are
throw
great
that out.
trees,
In fact,
and you've certainly done them justice on your railroad.
yeah, I did the What's Neat segment on those once because it was worth talking about how you could really take those and make them look cool. So yeah, hats off to that. Because the last thing I want to do is bend all those wires myself, you know? That's the hard part, and they've done it for you. So yeah, hats off to you guys.
Yeah. If you want to use any of those new products as you're rebuilding the layout here, just let us know and we'll hook you up so you can show all the great new scenery stuff that we have going into the line.
There you go. Now you're going to have everybody emailing you to hook you up. Rock and roll, guys. Does that about round it out for today?
Yeah, like I said, there's still plenty of other stuff to look at in the catalog, but we would have to do an entire probably hour-long show or more to get through everything. So let's leave it in suspense for now. Anybody who wants to see what else we have in store in terms of new locomotive and rolling stock paint schemes in HO and N scale. Like I said, we've got some stuff coming in large scale as well. Visit BachmannTrains.com or go to your local hobby shop and see if they have our 2026 catalog in stock.
Perfect. Matt Stern, Tyler Haney. Guys, thank you so much for sharing all the new stuff with us today on the What's Neat Show. And that does end the segment for What's Neat.
All of the products seen on this episode of What's Neat are available from Lombard Hobbies in Lombard, Illinois, or order online at lombardhobby.com. Broadway Limited Imports, the cutting-edge leader in model trains. Check out their website at broadway-limited.com. Bachmann Trains. Now that's the way to run a railroad. Check out their website at bachmanntrains.com.